Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Main Event Insider, your #1 WWE hub. Don't forget to subscribe and let's dive in. Tonight in NXT, the backstage area was charged with an intensity few could ignore. Blake Monroe, fresh off a grueling title defense, paced with visible frustration, her every movement underscoring a sense of impatience and determination. The air was thick with anticipation as she voiced her dissatisfaction, demanding answers and accountability from anyone in reach. The recent Orlando finish lingered in her mind, a bitter reminder of how quickly momentum can be stolen. Her eyes scanned the room, looking for support or at least acknowledgement of the effort she had poured into her matches. This wasn't just a moment of personal venting. It was a statement that Monroe was ready to assert control over her path, and whoever stepped forward would need to match her intensity and resolve. Jackson Drake enters the equation. Into this charged atmosphere stepped Jackson Drake, carrying a quiet confidence that immediately altered the tone. He approached Monroe not with arrogance, but with a subtle conviction, acknowledging that he might not have been the first ally she wanted, yet he insisted he could provide something meaningful. Drake's presence signaled a potential shift in dynamics, suggesting a backstage alliance that could change match outcomes, storyline trajectories, or even Monroe's approach to future challenges. There was a calculated energy to his words, an unspoken understanding that he could influence events behind the scenes. Monroe's reaction was measured, cautious but curious, as she weighed whether Drake was offering genuine support or positioning himself for strategic advantage. This moment laid the groundwork for alliances, rivalries, and the potential for power plays within the NXT roster. Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes make their statement. The energy in the room shifted dramatically when Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes arrived, exuding confidence and authority. Their presence was immediate, commanding attention, and the gifts they carried were secondary to the verbal challenge they presented. They confronted Monroe directly about the infamous Orlando finish, questioning the legitimacy of her title defense and reminding her bluntly that she deserved better. Baylor and Smokes framed the moment as a matter of respect and integrity, emphasizing that the previous outcome had been unfair. The implication was clear. Monroe's effort and talent were being acknowledged, and yet they challenged her to respond. The confrontation wasn't just about sparking debate. It was about redefining who controlled the narrative and who had the right to challenge her authority within the division. The Orlando Screwjob revisited. The discussion quickly centered on the controversial Orlando match, which had left lingering tension within the roster and among fans. Baylor and Smokes called out the finish explicitly, framing it as a screw job that denied Monroe her due recognition. By revisiting this moment, they injected fuel into the ongoing storylines, forcing both Monroe and the audience to reconsider the implications of that match. It was a calculated reminder that past events still mattered and could influence present interactions. Monroe's reaction was one of measured irritation, reflecting a competitor unwilling to be swayed by opinions while still processing the reminder of injustice. This segment showcased how unresolved outcomes can generate emotional intensity and set the stage for evolving rivalries in NXT programming. Monroe's assertive response. Blake Monroe's reaction was decisive and telling. She ordered Baylor and Smokes to leave, signaling that she was unwilling to entertain debate or negotiation at that moment. However, she allowed them to leave their gifts, a symbolic acknowledgement that while she demanded respect, she could separate distractions from tangible resources. This response highlighted Monroe's focus on results rather than discussion, underlining a mindset centered on control and victory. It also emphasized her leadership style, confident, assertive, and unyielding. By maintaining composure while redirecting the interaction toward outcomes rather than opinions, Monroe reinforced her authority within NXT, sending a clear message that she defines her narrative and expects others to align with her professional standards or step aside. Strategic positioning by Jackson Drake. Meanwhile, Jackson Drake's positioning became increasingly intriguing. By engaging Monroe at a moment of vulnerability and frustration, he established himself as a potential ally or manipulative force capable of influencing events behind the scenes. His timing suggested an understanding of both opportunity and psychology, hinting that he might either support Monroe in her objectives or subtly guide outcomes in a way that benefits him strategically. This type of backstage maneuvering adds layers to NXT storytelling, where characters can exert influence without direct confrontation in the ring. Fans and roster members alike are left guessing about Drake's ultimate intentions, enhancing narrative tension and viewer investment in subsequent matches and segments. Potential rivalries emerging. The confrontation also planted seeds for future rivalries. Baylor and Smokes' direct challenge to Monroe's legitimacy, combined with Drake's subtle positioning, creates a dynamic landscape in which alliances, betrayals, and conflicts could emerge. Monroe's insistence on focus and respect over debate underscores her potential role as a central figure in multiple storylines. Competitors observing these interactions are now aware of the stakes. Every choice, every conversation, and every match could shift the balance of power. This narrative complexity ensures that audience engagement remains high, as fans speculate on which tensions will escalate into physical confrontations and which will evolve into long-term storytelling arcs within NXT programming. Implications for title picture and future matches. Monroe's reaction in the backstage confrontations have immediate implications for the NXT title picture. Her refusal to be swayed by opinions or debate demonstrates a competitive focus that could influence her approach in future matches. Opponents must now consider not only her in-ring skill, but also her psychological resilience and intensity. The interactions with Baylor, Smokes, and Drake suggest that upcoming contests will carry additional layers of narrative significance as Monroe navigates both direct competition and subtle backstage challenges. This heightened complexity enriches NXT programming, providing storyline hooks that can carry through weekly episodes, special events, and potential title defenses. Audience engagement and reaction. Fans witnessing this sequence, whether live or via broadcasts, were treated to a blend of drama, character development, and tension rarely seen in a single backstage segment. The audience's reaction reflects a mixture of shock, intrigue, and anticipation, reinforcing the effectiveness of the storytelling. Viewers are prompted to speculate on Monroe's next move, Drake's intentions, and how Baylor and Smokes might influence future dynamics. This engagement is critical for NXT, as it strengthens investment in both characters and storylines. By combining real-time emotion with layered narrative, WWE ensures that fans remain emotionally connected to the evolving power dynamics and conflicts within the women's division. Setting the stage for future storylines. The events of tonight set the stage for multiple potential storylines, each capable of reshaping NXT's competitive landscape. Monroe's assertiveness establishes her as a figure of authority and ambition, while Drake's subtle positioning suggests intrigue and potential alliance or betrayal. Baylor and Smokes have injected a moral and competitive challenge, adding stakes to future interactions. This complex web ensures that future episodes can explore rivalries, alliances, and character evolution in depth, keeping viewers invested. By weaving together personal frustration, past grievances, and strategic maneuvering, NXT has created a compelling narrative ecosystem that promises unpredictable matches and ongoing audience discussion, keeping the division vibrant and dynamic for weeks to come.